A Dark Elf Interlude, Respite from Destiny by Celeste King. From the Dark Elf series.
Savannah and Julius have been through a lot.
They certainly have. I think they deserve a break, some time to just relax and be together.
Relax together? Is that what they're calling it now?
Well, darling, it's good to know where that pretty head of yours is at.
How can it be anywhere else with you in the room?
Touché, Samara. Touché.
Worlds of Prothika has an impressive library of both audiobooks and ebooks, but in order to abide by YouTube's set guidelines, the steamy content has been removed.
Lucky for you, the uncut versions of any Worlds of Prothika audiobook can be found on worldsofprothika.com.
Use code YouTube30 to get a 30% discount on any digital product we have to offer, including bundles that are already listed at a discount.
This is Celeste King's Dark Elf Interlude, Respite from Destiny. Chapter 1. Julius. The wagon jolts over a rough patch in the trail, and I catch Savannah's hand to steady her. She looks up at me, green eyes wide with curiosity and a touch of wariness. "Where are we going, Julius?" Her voice carries the same wonder as it did when we first met. I give her a smug grin. "Patience isn't your strong suit, is it, dear? You'll see soon enough." She huffs, crossing her arms, but the corner of her mouth twitches up. The forest around us grows denser, ancient trees stretching their gnarled branches overhead like a canopy. Magic pulses through the air here, a tangible energy that sends shivers down my spine. After what feels like an eternity of bouncing along the narrow path, the wagon finally lurches to a stop. I hop out first, offering Savanah my hand. She takes it, stepping down with the grace that never fails to captivate me. Before us stands a secluded cabin, nestled deep in the heart of the forest. Its wooden structure blends seamlessly with the surroundings, almost as if it grew from the very earth itself. The air here is crisp, carrying the scent of pine and wildflowers. "Surprise," I say, watching her reaction closely. Her eyes widen further as she takes in the cabin. This is beautiful." I pull her close, wrapping an arm around her waist. "I thought we deserved a bit of peace after our victory. A place where no one can find us." She leans into me, resting her head against my chest. "You always know just what I need." We step inside together. The interior is cozy but spacious, with a roaring fire already crackling in the hearth. I've taken care of every detail. Plush rugs cover the wooden floors, and soft cushions are scattered about invitingly. Savannah's eyes sparkle as she explores our temporary haven. She pauses by the window overlooking a small clearing bathed in sunlight. "This is perfect," she murmurs. I move behind her, slipping my arms around her waist again. We'll have days of nothing but each other and the forest. She turns in my embrace, tilting her head up to meet my gaze. "Thank you, Julius." "Anything for you," I reply, meaning every word. She stands on tiptoe to press a kiss to my lips, and for a moment, everything else fades away. The battles won and lost, the burdens of our titles, leaving only us in this perfect seclusion. I press my lips to Savannah's neck, feeling her soft skin under my touch. She laughs, a musical sound that sends warmth through me. "Is this why you brought me here, Julius? So you could have your way with me?" Her voice is teasing, playful. I grin against her neck, then pull back to look into her eyes. "No," I say. "But the fact that it's far enough away that no one can hear you scream my name definitely has its perks." She gasps, eyes widening in a mixture of shock and excitement. I grab her neck gently but firmly, pulling her in for a passionate kiss. Her taste is intoxicating, making my blood boil with desire. Without breaking the kiss, I lift her effortlessly. She wraps her legs around my waist, holding on tight. "God, Savanah," I murmur against her lips. "There's no greater celebration for a victory than being with you." Her eyes burn with the same intensity as mine. She kisses me fiercely. Then let's go find out if this place has an echo. YouTube doesn't care much for the kind of echo we're looking for, as much as we'd like to test it out here for you. But don't worry, you can get the full, spicy getaway experience when you get this story from worldsofprothika.com. Unlock a 30% discount when you apply promo code YouTube30 at checkout and enjoy 30% off of any digital product, including the entire first season and upcoming second season in our Dark Elf series. Now let's return to the story. We collapse onto the bed in a tangle of limbs, chests heaving as we struggle to catch our breath. The fire crackles softly in the background, its warmth a comforting presence. Savannah turns her head to look at me, green eyes still hazy with satisfaction. "So what is this rest that you speak of?" she asks, a playful smile tugging at her lips. I chuckle, pulling her into my arms. "Come here," I murmur, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. She nestles against me, our bodies fitting together perfectly. The world outside might be full of chaos and danger, but here in this secluded cabin, we have our own little haven, a place where nothing else matters but us. And for now, that's all we need.
Chapter 2. Savannah. I wake to the scent of wildflowers. It fills the small, cosy cabin, a symphony of fragrances that pulls me from the depths of sleep. I stretch, feeling the softness of the bed beneath me, and slowly open my eyes. The morning light filters through the curtains, casting a gentle glow across the room. I sit up and find myself surrounded by bouquets of hand-picked flowers, bright reds, deep purples, soft yellows, all carefully arranged in vases scattered around the room. "Wow, how beautiful," is all I manage to squeak out as I canvass the room, taking it all in. My heart flutters at the sight. Julius's thoughtfulness never ceases to amaze me. He must have gathered these himself. I notice a folded piece of parchment on the bedside table, partially hidden by a cluster of bluebells. I reach for it, my fingers brushing against the delicate petals. Unfolding it, I recognize Julius's bold handwriting immediately. "Morning, love. Gone to the village for supplies. Back soon. J." I smile, tracing my finger over his hurried scrawl. His brief notes always manage to convey so much with so little. My thoughts drift to him as I swing my legs over the edge of the bed and stand up. The wooden floor is cool against my bare feet. I make my way to the window and push it open. The forest stretches out before me, its ancient trees standing tall and proud. The morning air is crisp and fresh, carrying with it the distant sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves. "Good morning, everyone," I say with a smile, noticing the birds frolicking about. Julius calls me a grandma for my enthusiasm with bird-watching. I just find it appealing that something so beautiful can also be so free. I breathe deeply, savouring the freedom this secluded cabin offers me, a stark contrast to the confining walls of home back in Orthani. Julius understands my yearning for adventure better than anyone else. As I gaze out at the dense forest, the sunlight dancing on the leaves above, casting intricate patterns on the ground, my mind drifts to Julius. This serene moment feels so different from our usual chaos, dodging spells, running from danger, always on edge. I wonder if this is what it's like to be with him when we're not fighting and running. The thought makes my heart ache with a mix of longing and contentment. When he's not wielding fire or facing down enemies, there's a softer side to him, a side that picks wildflowers and leaves sweet notes. I cherish these few moments of tranquility with him. Closing my eyes, I imagine what our life could be like if we had more moments like this. No battles to fight, no enemies lurking in the shadows, just us, exploring the world together. The thought fills me with hope. But then again, it's hard to picture Julius without his fierce determination and fiery spirit. That's part of what drew me to him in the first place. He's a force of nature, wild and untamed, and I'm drawn to his strength like a moth to a flame. I laugh softly at the irony. Here I am, dreaming of peaceful days while knowing that it's our shared battles that brought us closer. Maybe it's not about escaping our reality, but finding balance within it. I decide to venture out to the forest to explore its beauty. I stand and stretch, feeling the sun warm my skin as I look around. The stream beckons me to follow it, its gentle babbling guiding my steps. I walk alongside it, marveling at the beauty of the wilderness. Every step reveals something new: an unusual flower, a curious insect, a tree with bark that seems to shimmer in the light. As I venture deeper, the sound of rushing water grows louder. My curiosity piqued, I quicken my pace, eager to discover the source. The air becomes cooler and more humid, carrying with it a refreshing mist. I push through a thicket of ferns and finally see it: a breathtaking waterfall cascading down a rocky cliff into a crystal-clear pool below. By the gods! This is unbelievable. My breath catches in my throat as I take in the sight. The water sparkles like liquid diamonds in the sunlight, creating rainbows in the mist that rises from the pool. The rocks surrounding it are covered in vibrant green moss, and wildflowers grow in abundance along the edges. I move closer, feeling the cool spray on my face and arms. The roar of the waterfall drowns out all other sounds, enveloping me in a world of its own. I find a flat rock near the edge of the pool and sit down, letting my feet dangle into the water. For a moment I simply sit and absorb everything: the sight, the sound, the feel of this hidden gem. I can hardly believe such a place exists so close to our cabin. It's like stepping into another world, one untouched by time or troubles. I decide it's too beautiful to resist. The temperature of the water is perfect, just the right balance of cool and refreshing. Without much thought, I start removing my clothes, leaving them neatly folded on the bank. The sensation of the air on my bare skin is liberating. I wade into the pool, gasping softly as the cold water envelops me. It's invigorating, washing away any lingering fatigue. I let myself sink deeper, the water reaching up to my shoulders. The feeling is blissful. I swim a little, reveling in the freedom of movement. The pool isn't very deep in most places, allowing me to stand comfortably. I splash around, laughing at my own childlike joy. It's a rare moment where I feel completely at ease. As I float on my back, staring up at the canopy of leaves above, a sense of peace settles over me. This place feels like a sanctuary, a hidden paradise where I can forget about everything else. But then something prickles at the edge of my awareness. A feeling of being watched. I lower myself into the water and glance around cautiously. Hello? My eyes scan the trees and bushes lining the pool. And there he is, a young boy standing at the edge of the clearing, partially hidden behind a tree trunk. His eyes are wide with curiosity, and he looks like he's been caught doing something he shouldn't.
Chapter 3. Julius. I returned to the cabin, my arms laden with supplies. The villagers were curious, their eyes lingering on me longer than usual. No matter, I have more pressing concerns. Savannah's smile when she sees what I've brought will be worth it. I step inside, calling out her name. Silence greets me. Odd. I set the supplies down on the table and scan the room. Flowers still adorn the place, their fragrance mingling with the fresh forest air seeping through an open window. Savanah? My voice echoes through the cabin. No response. Panic gnaws at my gut. The notion of her alone in this wilderness tightens my chest. I step outside, glancing around the immediate area, and see no sign of her fiery red hair. I break into a jog, heading towards the forest's edge where a trail leads deeper into the woods. The crunch of leaves beneath my boots mirrors the pounding of my heart. She must have wandered off to explore. She always had that curiosity burning within her. After what feels like an eternity but is likely only minutes, I catch sight of the waterfall I found earlier, its roar a reminder of nature's power. I push through a thicket, my breath catching as I see Savanah bathing in the pool beneath the falls. Relief floods me, but it's short-lived as I notice movement in the shadows nearby. A young boy peers at her from behind a tree. My blood boils at his audacity. Fury surges through me, hotter than any flame I can conjure. How dare he? No one should see her like this but me. Hey! My voice is a crack of thunder reverberating off the rocks and trees. The boy's head snaps up, his eyes wide with terror. He stumbles backward, nearly falling. I take another step forward, my hands already curling into fists, my fire tattoo glowing menacingly. Get out of here! I roar, taking another menacing step toward him. The boy's face drains of color. He turns on his heel and sprints away, his feet barely touching the ground as he disappears into the dense forest. Julius! Savanah shouts. Her voice is confused but confident, grounding me slightly. She stands by the water's edge, holding her clothes against her chest. Her cheeks flush, not just from the cold. You shouldn't be out here alone, I manage to say, my voice softer now, though still tinged with anger. And you shouldn't be yelling at a child, she demands, eyes flashing with a rare fury. You scared him half to death. I take a deep breath, trying to temper my own anger. He could have been a spy, Savanah. We don't know who he is or why he was here. A spy? She scoffs, shaking her head. He was just a boy. You didn't need to terrify him like that. I cross my arms over my chest, frustration simmering just beneath the surface. You can't be too careful. We've made enemies, powerful ones. Anyone could be watching us. She narrows her eyes at me but doesn't respond immediately. Instead, she takes a step closer, still clutching her clothes protectively. Julius, she says softly, her voice taking on a more gentle tone. I know you're trying to protect me, but not everyone is out to get us. I want to argue, to tell her that she doesn't understand the dangers we face. But the earnest look in her eyes stops me short. She's right in a way. I may have overreacted. Fine, I relent with a sigh, running a hand through my hair. Maybe I was too harsh on him. She smiles faintly and takes another step closer until she's right in front of me. Thank you for understanding. I reach out and gently tuck a strand of wet hair behind her ear. I just want you safe. I know, she murmurs, leaning into my touch. Her eyes glint with mischief as she drops her clothes to the ground, her pale skin glistening in the sunlight. You know, I know how you can make it up to me, she murmurs, fingers deftly starting to remove my shirt. What are you doing? I ask, even as my heart pounds in anticipation. She doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she moves her hands to unbutton my pants. Her eyes meet mine, a challenge in them. You were so concerned about someone watching. Let's give him something to watch then. It doesn't get steamier than this, at least not according to YouTube's guidelines. To get the full spicy scenes in A Dark Elf Interlude, Respite from Destiny, grab it from worldsofprathika.com. Use code YouTube30 to get 30% off of any digital product, and don't forget to check out the full first season, Dark Elf's Chosen. Orcs, gargoyles, vampires, ice monsters, demons of the dark. These beasts seek war, destruction, and power. And there's only one thing that can tame them.
Love.
This is your chance to get the uncut and unabridged audiobook bundle.
No detail is spared.
Use discount code YouTube30 for an additional 30% off of the already discounted price.
Go to worldsofprathika.com.
Get access to countless audiobooks and discounted bundles where I talk you through every last scene.
Prothika's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive. Chapter 4. Savanah. Julius pokes at the fire, sending sparks dancing into the twilight. The aroma of roasted venison fills the air, mingling with the fresh scent of pine. I savour a bite, relishing the tender meat and the slight char that gives it an earthy flavour. My mind drifts back to the events of today. There's just something about it that I just can't shake. That boy today, I say, breaking the comfortable silence. Do you think he has a family nearby? Julius grunts, not looking up from his task. Doubt it. Kids around here fend for themselves, or worse. The words hang heavy between us, an unspoken truth about our world. I set my fork down and lean forward, curiosity piqued. Worse how? He meets my gaze, his eyes dark as the forest surrounding us. Some get taken by raiders. Others end up as apprentices to dark mages. It's no place for a child. A chill runs down my spine at his words. That's horrible. It is, he agrees, his voice softening as he shifts closer to me. But that's why we fight. To change things. I look down at my plate, my appetite waning as thoughts whirl in my mind. Julius, do you ever think about having children? His hand stills, mid-reach for another piece of venison. Why do you ask? I don't know. I shrug, feeling a little silly now that I've said it out loud. Seeing that boy today made me wonder what it would be like to have our own. You know, he starts, his voice a low rumble. I haven't really had much time to think about children. I tilt my head, intrigued. Why not? He shifts, looking almost sheepish, a rare sight for someone as confident as Julius. My life's always been complicated. Between the responsibilities of my family and our fight against the darkness, there hasn't been much room for anything else. I understand, I say softly, squeezing his hand. I also never planned to find someone I'd want to start a family with. That is, until I found you. My heart flutters at his thoughtful words. But I will say, he continues, eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that makes my heart race. Passing down my family name and legacy is something I'd like. The weight of his words settles over me like a comforting blanket. You mean that? He nods. Absolutely. The Rosenfire name carries power and history. It deserves to continue. A smile tugs at my lips. And you'd want to share that with me? Only you, he replies without hesitation. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. The idea of little ones with Julius's fiery spirit and my curiosity brings a strange sense of peace. I think we'd make a great team, I say, trying to lighten the mood. Julius laughs, a sound that seems to melt away the tension in the air. A formidable team indeed. We sit there in silence again, but this time it's filled with a new kind of promise. The future might be uncertain, but knowing Julius shares my hopes makes it seem a little brighter. He pulls me closer until I'm nestled against him, the fire warming us both. One day, he murmurs into my hair. One day, I echo, closing my eyes and savouring this perfect moment. For now, this is enough. Julius and me under the stars, dreaming of a future together. We sit there in silence again until something hits me. A sudden fear tightening around my chest like an iron vice. Pregnancy. The thought swirls in my mind like dark smoke, foreign and terrifying. What if something went wrong? What if carrying a child changes everything about me? Are you all right? Julius's voice cuts through my thoughts. I manage a weak smile but avoid his gaze. Savanah. Julius's concern tugs at something deep within me, the same part that's now gripped by an overwhelming sense of dread about what could happen if we had children. Julius studies me for a moment, then sighs. Maybe you're just tired. I know I am. He stokes the fire, the flames leaping higher, casting a warm glow over his features. Yeah, maybe, I murmur, though my thoughts remain tangled. He starts cleaning up the table, his movements deliberate and efficient. Plates clink together, and the scrape of utensils echoes in the quiet night. I stay seated, staring at the flickering flames, lost in a haze of worry. Julius pauses, glancing my way. You sure you're okay? I nod absently. Just thinking. Thinking too much, he says with a half smile. Come on, let's get some rest. He grabs my arm gently but firmly, pulling me to my feet. His touch is grounding, a reminder of his strength and steadiness. Come on, baby, he murmurs, leading me toward the bedroom. Let's go to bed. And I follow him because I always will.
Chapter 5. Julius. I catch Savannah glancing at me, her green eyes clouded with something I can't quite place. The cabin feels smaller every day, the walls pressing in as if mocking my inability to bridge the growing distance between us. Julius, I just need some air, she says, not meeting my gaze. She slips out of the door before I can respond. Damn it. How did we get here? The first few days were paradise. But now it feels like she's slipping away and I can't stand it. Every time I try to touch her, she flinches like I'm some stranger. The next evening, I prepare her favorite dish, a tender roast seasoned with elven herbs. As the aroma fills the cabin, I set the table with care, hoping this will break the ice. Savannah, I call out, trying to keep my voice even. Dinner's ready. She emerges from the bedroom, her eyes flicking to the table before settling on me. Smells wonderful, she says softly, but there's no warmth in her voice. We eat in silence, the only sound being the clinking of cutlery against plates. Finally, I can't take it anymore. I set down my fork, my eyes locking onto Savannah's. Care to tell me why you haven't so much as looked in my direction lately? She sighs, pushing her plate away. It's nothing, Julius, you're overreacting. I can't help but feel a little perturbed at her comment. Overreacting? You couldn't keep your hands off me when we got here, and now you're stewing around here like some kind of prude. Excuse me? She responds, clearly caught off guard by comment. Savannah, you haven't been acting right for days. What the hell is going on? I question. She looks down at her hands, fidgeting with the edge of the tablecloth. I said it's nothing, Julius. Drop it. I raise an eyebrow, leaning back in my chair. I'm not dropping it unless you take me to bed right now, but that's not going to happen, is it? Because you've been avoiding me like I have some sort of disease. Damn it, Julius. Maybe I've been thinking about something that has me concerned. Ever think that some things aren't about you? She spits back, eyes full of fire. It's one of the things I love most about her. Then what could possibly have you so messed up that you aren't even acting like yourself? I prod. Maybe I'm scared, she screeches as she makes a face. Vulnerability tastes real sour coming from her mouth. Scared of what, Savannah? You know I won't let anything. I start, but am suddenly interrupted by an angry, screeching redhead. If you must know, I'm scared about what will happen to my body if I get pregnant. What's going to happen to me? What if you're repulsed by me afterwards? What if I can't even have a baby? I raise an eyebrow, leaning back in my chair. That's it? That's what's been bothering you so bad? She nods, her face flushing. Yes. I mean, I've heard stories from the servants. It's not exactly a walk in the park, Julius. I can't help it. A laugh escapes me. You're worried about that? Savannah, do you think I'd let anything bad happen to you? It's far from funny, Julius, Savannah snaps, her eyes blazing. Do you have any idea what it feels like to think about your body changing so much? I lean forward, resting my elbows on the table. Savannah, I do understand it's a big deal, but I want you to know, I would love nothing more than to see you with a pregnant belly, walking around our home barefoot and plump. Her expression softens slightly, but she still looks uncertain. You really mean that? Absolutely, I say, my voice firm. Imagine it. Our home filled with the sound of children's laughter, you glowing with life. She bites her lip, her gaze dropping to her hands again. It's just so much to take in. I get it, I say, reaching across the table to take her hand. "But we'll face it together. You won't be alone in this." A tentative smile tugs at her lips. "Barefoot and plump, huh?" I chuckle softly. Barefoot and plump. And absolutely beautiful. I rise from my seat and move around the table, reaching for Savannah's hand. "Come on, sit with me." She hesitates for a moment before placing her hand in mine. I lead her to the fire, the warmth casting a soft glow across the room. The bearskin rug feels plush under our feet as I guide her to sit between my legs, her back pressed against my chest. "Comfortable?" I murmur into her ear, wrapping my arms around her waist. She nods, leaning into me, her body relaxing a fraction. "Good," I say, trailing my fingers along her arms. "You need to know how much I cherish every inch of you." I kiss the top of her head, then move to her neck, inhaling the sweet scent of her hair. She shivers slightly and I tighten my hold. "You are beautiful," I whisper, my hands tracing the curves of her body. "And nothing will ever change how I feel about you." Savannah's breath hitches as I continue to explore, my touch gentle yet firm. Her skin is soft under my fingers, warm and inviting. I want her to feel every bit of love and desire coursing through me. "Yes, pregnancy will change you," I murmur against her ear. "But to me, it will only add to your beauty." She tilts her head back, resting it on my shoulder. "Julius." "Shh," I soothe, brushing my lips along her jawline. "Let me show you." My hands travel lower, caressing her sides before moving to rest on her stomach. "Imagine this growing with our child," I say softly. "Our legacy." Her hands cover mine and she squeezes gently. "It's just so overwhelming," she admits. "I know," I reply, nuzzling into the crook of her neck. "But I'll be here for it all." We sit there in silence for a while, the crackling fire providing a comforting background noise. My hands continue their slow worship, memorizing every contour and curve of her body. "You are perfect," I whisper finally, pressing a kiss to her shoulder. "And nothing will ever change that." Savannah turns in my arms, her eyes searching mine. The firelight dances in her green eyes, turning them into twin emeralds. She swallows hard, her breath shaky as she speaks. "Make love to me, Julius," she whispers. "Show me how much you love me." Her words ignite something primal within me. I nod, my gaze never leaving hers. I lift her gently, laying her back on the bearskin rug. The soft fur cushions her, framing her like the queen she is. I brush a strand of red hair away from her face, my fingers lingering on her cheek. Her skin feels warm and smooth under my touch, inviting and intoxicating. "You're sure?" I ask, my voice low and rough with desire. She nods, her eyes filled with trust and adoration. "I've never been more sure." Chapter 6. Julius. We begin to undress each other slowly, savoring every moment. My fingers fumble slightly as I unlace the delicate ties of her dress, exposing the creamy expanse of her shoulders. The shadows cast by the fire dance across her skin, creating an almost ethereal glow. Her hands work on my shirt, pushing it off my shoulders. I shrug out of it and toss it aside, focusing on the way she looks up at me with those trusting green eyes. My hands move to her waist, slipping beneath the fabric to caress the curve of her hips. With each piece of clothing that falls away, we grow closer until nothing separates us. The fire's warmth mingles with the heat between us, creating a cocoon of intimacy. I lower myself over her, pressing my body against hers. Things are definitely starting to heat up, and YouTube definitely can't take any more of it. But if you think you can, grab the unabridged version of this audiobook from worldsofprothika.com. Listen to this story free of interruption and without a single ad ruining the mood. Get 30% off with code YouTube30, which you can apply to any digital product on the site. Let's start up where the steam leaves off. We lie there in each other's arms, our breaths mingling as we come down from the high together. The fire crackles softly in the background, wrapping us in its warmth as we hold each other close. Savannah's hair spills over my fingers like silk, the strands catching the flickering light of the fire. Her breaths grow slow and even, a clear sign sleep is near. The warmth from the fire seeps into our skin, making everything feel soft and drowsy. Suddenly, a shadow flits across the window. I freeze, muscles tensing as my eyes narrow. I sit up, trying to get a better look. "What is it, Julius?" Savannah's voice is sharp now, all traces of sleep gone. She pulls the blanket up to cover herself. The boy from the waterfall stares back at me through the glass. I leap to my feet, pulling a blanket around my waist. "That damn kid!" I mutter, fury rising. Savannah gasps and scrambles up beside me. Is it him? The boy from the waterfall? I reach for the door handle, ready to tear it open and chase him down. He must be spying again. "Wait!" Savannah grabs my arm, her eyes wide with concern. I pull free and yank open the door. Cold air rushes in, but it does nothing to cool my anger. "You!" I bellow at the boy. "Get here!" He steps back, eyes wide with fear. "Julius, stop!" Savannah's voice cuts through my rage. She wraps herself in a blanket and steps outside. "He's just a child." I glare at her but lower my arm. She turns to the boy, her voice softening. "Come inside, it's cold out here." The boy hesitates, then shuffles forward. "Savannah, are you insane?" I ask, bewildered at her sudden decision to invite this strange child in. What harm could he really do to us, Julius? It's cold as hell out here and he has no jacket. I'm not leaving him out here to die, she says, her eyes daring me to argue. She ushers him in with a gentle hand on his shoulder. I slam the door behind us, still seething. She kneels beside him by the fire, wrapping him in one of our blankets. "What's your name?" He shakes his head, not willing to tell us. I cross my arms and scowl down at him. "What were you doing out there?" Savannah shoots me a look that says calm down before turning back to the boy. "Are you lost? Hungry?" He nods shyly. "Well," she says brightly, "let me get dressed and let's get you something to eat." Savannah bustles around the kitchen, her movements swift and efficient. I stand back, arms crossed, watching the boy like a hawk. He clings to her side, his small hand gripping the edge of her blanket. "What's your name?" I ask again, my voice low but insistent. The boy glances at me, then looks away without saying a word. Instead, he buries his face into Savannah's hip, hiding from my gaze. "Where's your family?" I try another angle, hoping to get some answers. "Are they nearby?" Nothing. Not a peep. The boy remains glued to Savannah, as if she is his only lifeline. Savannah turns to me with a gentle smile. "Julius, maybe he's too scared to talk right now. Or maybe he knows more than he's letting on," I mutter, my suspicion unrelenting. "We can't trust him." "Again, he's just a child," she repeats, softer this time as if speaking to a skittish animal. She crouches down to the boy's level, offering him a piece of bread and cheese. "Here you go, sweetie. Eat up." He takes the food hesitantly, but doesn't loosen his grip on her blanket. His eyes dart toward me every few seconds, wary and distrustful. I lean against the wall, still fuming but trying to rein it in for Savannah's sake. If he won't tell us where he's from, how do we know he isn't a threat? Savannah sighs and straightens up, placing a reassuring hand on my arm. "Let's give him some time to feel safe first. Then we can ask again." "Fine," I grumble, but don't move from my spot. I keep my eyes trained on the boy as he nibbles at the bread. Minutes pass in tense silence, broken only by the crackling fire and the soft sounds of the boy eating. Savannah strokes his hair gently, whispering soothing words I can't quite make out. Finally, she stands and looks at me with those pleading green eyes. "Can you please try to be a little less intimidating?" I huff but nod. "For her sake, I'll try." She smiles and turns back to the boy. You're safe here, she tells him softly. No one will hurt you. The boy glances at me again before nestling closer to Savanah. Suddenly, all I can see is an elven child, my elven child clinging to his mother. Ah, gods.
Chapter 7. Savannah. The sun hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows over the garden. I watch from the porch as Julius crouches beside Scout, a small knife glinting in his hand. He has yet to tell us his name. I'm not sure if it's because he is scared, or he doesn't have one. But I've taken it upon myself to call him Scout, since he scouted me out in the woods. Julian says he needs a strong name, for a warrior, but Scout has just stuck with me. No one has made any effort to come find him. Julius has even gone back to the village to see if he could catch wind of any mumblings of a missing child, but has heard nothing. It makes me angry that a mother is not actively out trying to find her child, who has been with us for days. But the selfish part of me is glad, because it means I'm able to spend more time with Scout and see Julius interact with him. "Hold it like this," Julius says, his voice surprisingly gentle. He places Scout's tiny fingers around the handle, adjusting his grip. "You need control. Without control, you'll hurt yourself more than anything else." Scout nods solemnly, eyes wide and attentive. He mimics Julius's movements with an intense concentration that makes my heart ache. I wonder what brought him to our secluded haven, but he's yet to say a word about his past. Julius glances up at me and smirks. "You think he's ready for battle?" I laugh, the sound light and airy in the evening air. "Let's start with not slicing off any fingers first." "Good plan," Julius agrees. He turns back to Scout, who watches our exchange with curiosity. "All right, let's try something simpler." Julius picks up a freshly caught hare and sets it on a flat rock. "First you make an incision here," he explains, guiding Scout's hand to the animal's belly. The boy follows his instructions with a focus that belies his age. I step down from the porch and walk over to them. "You two look like you're plotting something devious." "Just teaching some life skills," Julius replies, not looking up from their work. His fingers are deft as he demonstrates how to skin the hare. Scout looks up at me and offers a small smile, one of the few I've seen since he arrived. I ruffle his hair affectionately. "You've got a good teacher," I say softly. Julius grins, a rare warmth in his eyes. He's a quick learner. The scene is almost surreal. Julius Rosenfire, the fearsome sorcerer, patiently teaching a young boy how to survive in the wild. It's a side of him I never imagined seeing. "You're doing great, Scout," I encourage. The boy looks at me with those big eyes and nods again. He may not speak much, but his actions say enough. Julius wipes his hands on a cloth and stands up. We should head inside before it gets too dark. The way Julius interacts with Scout tugs at something deep within me. He's so patient, so unlike the tempestuous sorcerer I've come to know. He speaks to the boy with a gentle authority, guiding him through each step without a hint of frustration. I take Scout's hand in mine as we walk back toward the cabin. The garden rustles with the sounds of twilight creatures waking up. We walk back to the cabin together, Scout holding my hand while Julius walks beside us. The night air is cool and fresh, carrying the scent of pine and earth. It's peaceful here in our little corner of the world, away from the chaos and danger that usually surrounds us. As we step inside, I glance at Julius again. He catches my look and raises an eyebrow. "What?" he asks. "Nothing," I say quickly, but I can't help the smile that spreads across my face. "Just, you're different when you're with him." Julius snorts softly. "Different how?" "Softer," I say simply. He looks at Scout, who is now inspecting one of the lanterns on the table with great interest. A small smile tugs at Julius's lips. "Maybe he brings out something in me," he admits. despite my initial reservations. "Something good," I whisper. Julius turns to me then, his eyes glowing in the dim light of the cabin. "And what about you? What do you see?" I hold his gaze, feeling my heart swell with affection. I see someone I could fall for all over again. That night, after tucking Scout into bed, I close the door softly behind me and tiptoe back to the living room. Julius lounges on the couch, his long legs stretched out, a rare look of contentment on his face. I move to him, my heart swelling with affection. Kneeling between his legs, I place my hands on his thighs and look up at him. His red eyes meet mine, and he raises an eyebrow, a small smirk playing on his lips. "What's this?" he asks, amusement lacing his voice. "Just showing my appreciation," I reply softly. And even though YouTube doesn't want you to know just how appreciative I am, Julius and I won't let that stop us, and neither should you. Get the uncut version of this audiobook from worldsofprathika.com. With code YouTube30, get a 30% discount on all the spicy details and listen completely ad-free. Shall we return to the story? We stay like that for a few moments longer, savouring the closeness between us. Finally, Julius straightens up and offers me his hand. "Come on," he says with a warm smile. "Let's get some sleep." I take his hand and let him lead me to the bedroom. The room is bathed in soft moonlight, casting gentle shadows on the walls. Julius pulls back the covers and gestures for me to get in first. I slide under the blankets, feeling the cool sheets against my skin. He joins me moments later, wrapping his strong arms around me and pulling me close. "Good night, Savanah," he murmurs into my hair. "Good night, Julius," I reply, snuggling into his chest. In the quiet of the night, surrounded by the warmth of his embrace, I feel an overwhelming sense of peace. For now, everything is perfect. And as I drift off to sleep, I know that whatever challenges we face tomorrow, we'll face them together. There isn't much left of the world after the orcs came.
Savage. Brutal. Merciless.
If you're a woman, you're property. Even to other humans.
What happens when an orc stakes his claim on a human woman? Who would dare to stop him?
Me. Chapter 8. Savanah. Scout giggles, his face smeared with honey as he tries to sneak another piece of bread. Julius raises an eyebrow at him, a rare smile tugging at his lips. "Save some for the rest of us, kid." I laugh, handing Scout a napkin. "We've got plenty. Let him enjoy." A knock interrupts our breakfast, echoing through the cabin. Julius tenses beside me, but I place a hand on his arm. "I'll get it," I say, standing and smoothing down my dress. As I open the door, I find a woman on the other side. Her eyes are frantic, her hair dishevelled as if she's been out for days. "Have you seen my son?" she asks, her voice trembling. "He ran away a week ago." My heart skips a beat. "Your son?" She nods, her eyes darting past me into the cabin. "He's about this tall." She gestures with her hand. Blonde hair, green eyes. "Scout?" The name slips out before I can stop it. I watch her eyes as her hopefulness slips into sadness. "No, his name is Eli." I turn back to look at Julius and Scout at the table. Scout's eyes are wide, his small frame trembling slightly. Julius stands, moving to my side with a protective stance. "What's going on?" he asks, his voice edged with suspicion. This woman, I start softly. She is looking for her son. He's been missing for a week. I glance back at Scout, Eli, I suppose, and my heart aches. The thought of handing him over makes me feel hollow. He's been with us for only a short while, yet it feels like he's always belonged here, with us. Julius looks at me with sad eyes, as if he knows what I'm thinking. The urge to lie, to claim Scout, Eli, as our own, churns in my gut. He pulls me to the side and squeezes my hand, grounding me. I know you've grown to care about him, he says, his voice soft yet firm. But think about if you were in her shoes. Would you want someone else to keep our son? His words hit me like a punch to the chest. My throat tightens, and I struggle to swallow the lump forming there. I look back to the woman at the door, standing there downtrodden. Yes, I whisper, barely audible. I would want him back. Julius nods, understanding and sorrow etched into his features. He's right, of course. Keeping Eli would be selfish, no matter how much I want to protect him. I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on me. My heart aches, and I can barely find the words. Eli, I say, my voice trembling. I'm immediately met with a pair of green eyes. It serves as recognition that he is indeed her missing son. Your mother is here. The woman's eyes widen, filling with tears. She looks past me, seeing him behind Julius and I. Eli, Scout, stands frozen, his small hands gripping ringing at his side. Eli, she whispers, stepping forward. He smiles, a smile bigger than I've yet to see from him. He hesitates, looking between Julius and me, his eyes pleading. I nod at him, trying to smile through my own tears. It's okay, I say softly. Go to her. Slowly he moves towards her. When she kneels down and opens her arms, he runs into them. She holds him tight, sobbing into his hair. Seeing the relief on her face breaks something inside me. Her desperation melts into pure joy as she clutches him close, whispering words of love and relief. Julius wraps an arm around my shoulders, pulling me close. I lean into him, feeling his strength but also the sorrow that mirrors mine. I know it hurts, he murmurs against my hair. But it was the right thing to do. I nod, though it doesn't make it any easier. Watching Eli reunited with his mother should fill me with peace. Instead, it feels like a piece of my heart has been torn away. Thank you, she says through her tears, looking up at us. Thank you for keeping him safe. I manage a weak smile. He was a joy to have here. She stands, still holding Eli close. We'll never forget your kindness. With that, she turns to leave, carrying Eli out of our lives as quickly as he came in. The door closes behind them with a soft click that echoes in the silence of the cabin. The space feels emptier now, a void left by a small boy who had brought so much light and laughter into our days. Julius holds me tighter as we stand there in silence. The morning sun streams through the windows, but it feels cold now without Scout's, Eli's, presence. We did the right thing, Savannah, Julius says again, as if trying to convince both of us. I nod once more, but can't shake the hollow feeling inside. My heart knows it's true, yet it's broken all the same.
Chapter 9. Julius. Savannah stands motionless, staring at the ground, her shoulders slumped. I know this isn't easy for her. Hell, it isn't a walk in the park for me. That little taste of familial life has affected me. It's something I strive for, even though I know now is not the right time. She turns and walks to our bedroom without a word. I follow her, my heart heavy with the knowledge that I can't fix this pain for her. I find her curled up on the bed, clutching a pillow to her chest. Her fiery hair spills over the white sheets like a burning river. She doesn't look up as I enter the room. "Savannah," I say softly, sitting on the edge of the bed. She sniffles but doesn't respond. "Talk to me." "It's nothing," she murmurs into the pillow. "It's not nothing," I counter, reaching out to brush a strand of hair from her face. "You can't hide from me." Her green eyes meet mine, shimmering with unshed tears. I thought maybe we could have been a family." "We will be," I assure her, though my own voice sounds hollow to my ears. "But it felt so real with him here," she says, voice breaking. "Seeing you with him, it was everything I've ever wanted." "I know," I whisper, pulling her into my arms. She melts against me, burying her face in my chest. "I wanted to keep him," she admits, voice muffled. "Even if it was wrong." "It wasn't wrong to feel that way," I say. "You have a big heart, Savanah. That's one of the things I love most about you." She pulls back slightly, looking up at me with those wide green eyes. "Do you really think we'll have a family someday?" "I promise you," I say firmly. "We'll have our own little ones running around soon enough." A small smile tugs at her lips, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "You always make things sound so simple." "Because they are," I insist, pressing a kiss to her forehead. I lay down beside Savanah, brushing back her hair. At the rate we've been practicing, it may be sooner than later. She manages a small laugh. "What do you say, Want to practice? Try to take your mind off things?" "A little practice wouldn't hurt, I suppose," she replies, crawling on top of me and straddling my hips. Her dress comes off in one swift motion. I sit up, and she helps me tug my shirt over my head. Leaning down, she kisses me passionately. "I love you, Julius, more than you know. I really have no idea what I would do without you." "Good thing you don't have to," I say as I kiss her again, deeper this time. "I love you too, baby." My lips trail down her neck and chest. "Gods, you are so beautiful. I kind of hope we have a little girl and she's beautiful like her mama." Her eyes glisten with tears as she grinds against me. I'd be happy with a little boy, bold and brave, looking like his daddy. YouTube says this scene is too spicy to put on the air, but we say you should have your cake and eat it too. That's why we're offering you a 30% discount on the full, unabridged version of any Worlds of Prothika audiobook when you apply promo code YouTube30 on worldsofprothika.com. Thank you for listening to A Dark Elf Interlude, Respite from Destiny.
Chapter 10. Savannah. The forest path crunches underfoot as we make our way toward the harbour. The early morning mist clings to the air, curling around the trees like ghostly fingers. Julius strides ahead, his confident gait making it seem as if he owns the entire forest. "Did you remember to pack the herbs?" he asks without turning back. "Of course. Unlike someone, I don't leave things behind," I tease, a smile playing on my lips. He chuckles, shaking his head. "You mean that one time I forgot my spellbook?" I catch up to him and give his arm a playful nudge. "That one time nearly got us killed." "And yet here we are," he says, his eyes glinting with amusement. We continue in silence for a while, the only sounds being the rustling leaves and distant calls of fen wrens. The cabin fades from view, replaced by thick woods and the occasional glimpse of sunlight breaking through the canopy. My mind drifts back to our days there, simple meals, quiet moments by the fireplace, and that unexpected visit from the boy. "Do you think we'll ever have something like this again?" I ask, more to myself than to him. "Something like what?" Julius's tone is casual, but there's an edge of curiosity in it. "A place to call our own, peaceful moments." He stops and turns to face me, his red eyes softening. "We will, Savanah. Just not today." I nod, though my heart feels heavy. The idea of returning to our usual chaos feels daunting after this peaceful interlude. As we stroll through the bustling market on our way to the harbour, the mingling scents of fresh bread and exotic spices create a sensory tapestry around us. Julius walks close beside me, his hand resting protectively on my lower back. "Look, over there," I say, pointing toward a small family near a stall selling brightly coloured fabrics. The boy from the cabin stands with his parents and a younger sister. Both children scream and cry, tiny fists pounding the air. Their mother attempts to calm them, her face lined with fatigue, while their father juggles bags of provisions and exasperation. "Seems like they're having a rough day," Julius remarks dryly, raising an eyebrow. I can't help but smile at his understated humour. And here I was, thinking our lives were chaotic. We watch for a moment longer. The boy's mother finally scoops up the sister, her cries piercing the market's ambient noise. The father struggles to keep the boy from running off. I lean into Julius, my head resting against his strong arm. "You know," I say softly, "maybe it's a good thing we don't have kids yet." Julius wraps an arm around my shoulders, pulling me closer. "You mean you're not eager to experience all that screaming and tantrum throwing?" "Oh, I can wait," I laugh, tilting my head up to meet his eyes. His red eyes gleam with amusement as he presses a kiss to my forehead. "You never cease to surprise me." We turn away from the scene and continue walking. The market's vibrant energy fills the space between us. Merchants shout their wares, children weave through the crowd playing games, and every so often, someone stops to admire Julius's imposing figure or whisper about his notorious reputation. As we near the harbour, the scent of salt water grows stronger, mingling with the earthy aroma of the forest. The boat waits for us at the dock, its sails fluttering gently in the breeze. I glance back one last time at Eli and his family. It's a poignant reminder of what we could have had, but also what we've chosen to wait for. Julius senses my gaze and gives my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "Our time will come, I'm sure of it," he murmurs. I nod, leaning into him even more. For now, this moment, just us, is enough. Julius takes my hand as we approach. "Ready for the next adventure?" I squeeze his hand back. "As long as you're with me." Despite everything, the chaos, the noise, I feel at peace. Julius's presence is an anchor amid the tumult. "Savannah?" I turn in his direction in time to see his eyes soften, the usual fire dimming to a gentle glow. "Yes," I reply. "You know you'll make a wonderful mother, right?" His voice low and earnest. The words hit me like a warm breeze, unexpected yet welcome. My heart swells with emotion. "You really think so?" He brushes a strand of hair from my face, his touch tender. "I know so. I've seen how you care for others. I see your heart." A lump forms in my throat. I worry sometimes. About everything. His grip on my shoulders tightens, grounding me. "We'll figure it out together, one step at a time." I look up at him, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. "Thank you," I whisper. He smiles, that rare, genuine smile that always makes my knees weak. "Now come on," he says, guiding me toward the ship waiting at the dock. "We have new memories to make." We board the ship hand in hand, the wooden planks creaking beneath our feet as the crew bustles around us. The sails catch the wind, billowing out like giant wings ready to take us to new horizons. As the ship pulls away from the harbour, I glance back one last time at Orthani fading into the distance. The familiar sights and sounds grow distant, replaced by the promise of what lies ahead. Julius stands beside me at the helm, his presence steady and sure. For now, with him by my side, I feel ready for whatever comes next. And as we sail into the unknown together, I know that our story is far from over. It's only just beginning.
In a world of elves, demons, and liches.
What would you choose?
Power?
Or passion?
Would you stab the monster in the back?
Or take him to bed?
The Immersive Fantasy audiobook bundle has it all.
Go to worldsofprathika.com to get access.
Use code YouTube30 to get an additional 30% off.
Prathika's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.